Hello, welcome to the Flute 360 podcast, where we incorporate a panoramic view of flute-related topics. I am your host, Heidi K. Begay, and this is episode 20, Asking References for Recommendation Letters. Today's episode is sponsored by J&K Productions. They produce all of my episodes, from adding the intro and outro music to editing the audio and all post-production needs. Contact them for your next podcast project at jkproductions.media. Hey everyone, it's Heidi, and I am recording this Friday night at the NFA Flute Convention in Orlando. I am super excited to share with you that I was invited to perform Thursday morning at 11 at the Native American Influence Concert. And I so thank everyone for your support and the people who showed up and approached me and talked to me for a little bit afterwards. I really appreciate you reaching out, and it was so nice to meet some Flute 360 listeners. So thank you for that. Today, I'm going to talk briefly about asking references for recommendation letters. Here are a few tips about that process. 1. Ask those that will help fit the job description you are applying for. For example, if you are applying for the flute professor position and the search committee is looking specifically for a flutist who can not only teach flute, but also music theory or music history, make sure you are asking your music theory or musicologist professor for a recommendation as well. Second would be to ask your references in a very polite and professional email. The message that you send to them really portrays your professionalism, and I think it's quite important that you really take some time, edit the email, proofread it, read it over again before you hit a quick send. So make sure that the salutation in the beginning is professional, that you are addressing them the proper way, whether it's professor, doctor, Mr., Mrs., Miss, etc. And make sure you add a colon, not a comma, but a colon. Also, make sure that you are sending it to the individual. So, for example, in the to field, send it to Professor Johnson. Don't just send a blind carbon copy email to a bulk of professors at one time to help save you time. So, for example, you would not want to BCC Professor Johnson, Professor Mueller, Professor Hood, Professor Begay, all in one, and ask a bunch of professors at one time. Yes, it saves you time, but if you can customize it for that individual, they will really appreciate it. Another suggestion would be to steer away from asking your references through social media. I recently had a past student do this, and although I didn't quite mind, it just made me feel a little uneasy. And it's because social media for me is a place to connect with friends, and it's not really the most professional setting to ask a teacher for a recommendation letter for a job, because applying to a job is very serious and should be taken seriously. So asking a professor or a teacher or mentor to write you a letter of recommendation through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram is maybe not the most ideal. The next suggestion I would like to offer is that try to find out, and of course this has to, make your references feel comfortable, but make sure that the letters that you are accumulating and you're gathering to submit for your job application truly are supporting you. So if you're asking Professor Johnson, hello, Professor Johnson, could you write me such and such letter? Maybe throw in the email at the same time, could you write a letter of tremendous support for this job? I don't know. I just think that there are a lot of okay letters of recommendation, and, the people that are trying to help you mean well, but maybe really reach out and seek and try to find out if these letters are just booming about you, they're talking about you over the moon, just ecstatic to support you, because that's what you need in your life, and that's what you need to win that job. The next suggestion I would like to offer is to give your references the JobLink. In the original email that you send Professor Johnson, I would say, hello, Professor Johnson, could you please be a reference for me at blank university or blank middle school, high school? And right below that, put JobLink : and copy and paste where you found the job announcement. This is particularly important because Professor Johnson needs to know what the search committee is looking for. And if Professor Johnson feels that he can write a supportive letter based on that job announcement, he will. But if he's reading this job announcement and saying, boy, that Heidi really can't teach blah, 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 he's not going to write one for me, and it saves everyone a lot of time. So I would put that job link right in the email. The next tip would be keep your references abreast of your recent accomplishments. So if you've been a college graduate for quite some time, and say now you just graduated with your master's degree, I would consider very strongly sending your undergraduate flute professor or music theory professor, whatever the case may be, your recent CV or resume, because in the 2-3 years that it took you to get your master's degree, for example, you could have played in X more recitals and concerts, maybe a publication, perhaps a conference that you presented at. Whatever the case may be, I would definitely keep your references, your past references, abreast of your current accomplishments. And of course, my last suggestion would be to write a thank you note. If it's someone who wrote maybe 1 or 2 letters for you, sending a quick email really can go a long way, and they would truly appreciate it. If it's somebody that's been writing you letters after letters after letters to help you get a job, because it is very competitive out there, I would definitely write a handwritten thank you note. Nothing says that you appreciate someone and have so much gratitude for what they've done if you take out an extra 2-5 minutes of your day and write a handwritten thank you note, put an old-fashioned stamp on the envelope, and send it snail mail. I think your mentors and your professors really will appreciate that extra little bit of effort that you put in, because these people are definitely going to be your support system for quite some time. So you have to show them your appreciation so that way they don't feel underappreciated. I hope these little tips go a long way with your job search, and know that you're doing a great job. Keep up the good work. And if you have any questions in regards to the job application process, feel free to shoot me an email at heidikbigay@gmail.com. And to wrap up my little spiel in the beginning of the episode about the NFA convention here in Orlando, if you would like a recording of the first 20 minutes that I presented on Kokopelli and Winter Spirits by Catherine Hoover, the lecture recital that I gave from 11 to about 11:20, I'd be more than happy to email you that recording and or the PDF handout that was submitted to the guidebook application. I would be more than happy to do that. And if you have further questions about my Kokopelli Winter Spirits research, the publication of mine in Flute Talk, and I believe it was published in March of 2011. So check that out if you want to read more details about my research on those two pieces by Catherine Hoover. Have a great rest of the convention. I hope to see you on Saturday and Sunday, and safe travels back home, wherever that may be. Thank you. Today's episode is sponsored by J&K Productions. They produce all of my episodes, from adding the intro and outro music to editing the audio and all post-production needs. Contact them for your next podcast project at jkproductions.media. Thank you for listening to the Flute 360 podcast. For more information, please visit HeidiKBegay.com. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please rate and review in the iTunes store. Let's talk about flute.